Well, good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara. We are a liberal religious community of seekers committing to supporting each other in our own individual search for truth and meaning in our lives. Together, we strive to live our lives with integrity, to nurture and embrace the wonder all around us, and to inspire the action needed to make the world a better place. So whether you come here seeking hope or inspiration, strength or connection, we're glad you came through our doors or joined us online for this morning's service. If you're a new visitor, I'd like to invite you to stop by our welcome table if you're here in person, out in the courtyard, and find out more about us and let us know a little more about you so we can keep you up to date on all the things that are going on here. Thank you for coming. If you're joining us online for the first time, please give us some information in the chat box about yourself so we can get in touch with you as well. And thank you for joining us. And finally, I want to say that after the service, we have coffee in the courtyard. We also have a virtual coffee hour so that those of you who are online this morning can join us still for coffee after the service. I'd like to start with a few announcements this morning, and Lorraine Woodman is here to help with that.
Good morning. I wanted to remind everybody that 11:30 after the service, there will be a discussion of the upcoming budget for the new year. So I hope everybody can make it. That'll be in Parish Hall from 11:30 to 12:30. And I also wanted to talk about the household carbon calculator that I announced on Earth Day. Some of you may remember that. We'd asked people to go online, go online, figure out what their household's carbon footprint was, and commit to new actions that would reduce that carbon footprint. And a number of people have done it, and a number of people have also asked for more time. It was supposed to end today, so we've extended it until June 30th, at which time there will be some prizes and who knows, maybe even cake. But I wanted to let you know that to date, collectively, we are committed to reducing our individual carbon footprints by 30 tons of carbon. So that's great. And that's truthfully not that many people in the congregation have participated so far. So think of what we could do if we all participated and did this. So you have until, say, June 28th, and then give me your results and we'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. I also want to give you a heads up. You know, we have a next Sunday service is our annual meeting, and you don't want to miss that. That's kind of our big end of the church year party and voting and all kinds of stuff going on. So be sure to show up next Sunday if you can. And I also want to give you another heads up about June 9th. That's the following Sunday after next. That we are going to be hearing from this amazing small nonprofit called Freedom for Youth. And if you're like me, you've probably never heard of them, but they've been around for 15 years doing amazing work in the community with young people. And I know that you're going to want to hear about their story and how we can join them in this work possibly. So that's what's coming up. Let's see. Well, today's Memorial Day, or it is not. It's Memorial Day weekend, right? And this is a weekend where we celebrate and honor military people who have died. I'm not explaining this real clearly, but crazy to me is Memorial Day was officially established in 1971. Did you know that? We have Veterans Day in the fall, And then Memorial Day was designated as a day for honoring not just veterans, but those veterans who actually died in their service to this country. So we want to recognize that and recognize all those who made the ultimate sacrifice on this Memorial Day weekend. Of course, there are parades, there are family gatherings. We have the Imaginari going on up at the Mission. And where's the sunshine? That's what I got to say. This is officially, or unofficially, Memorial Day is the beginning of summer for most of us. And I just wish somebody, well, maybe.
Yeah, don't.
No, I'm not going to go there. All right. Well, this Sunday also marks the beginning of our summer speaker series. Now, I don't know if all of you know, but Julia now is officially, the Reverend Julia Hamilton, our settled minister, is officially on a 4-month sabbatical. My gosh, she's been with us for 13 years. Can you believe that? And she's never taken a sabbatical like this, long overdue. And I hope she's not listening to this morning. But I do want to say, on behalf of all of us, Julia, we love you, we'll miss you, but we're going to welcome you with open arms in September when you come back, refreshed and ready to get on with the work of this congregation. So, well, of course, Julia, being Julia, she's not going to leave us for 4 months without making sure that we have high-quality, inspirational services in her absence. So she's arranged for a whole slew of speakers. Today, we are welcoming the Reverend Mark Asman to speak to us. And I don't know if you realize, Mark was a long-time lead minister at Episcopal Trinity Church, just around the corner. He and the Episcopal Trinity Church has been one of our allies in work in this community, in hosting what is it called when? Warming centers. Thank you. And in a number of other initiatives in the community to help those in need. He was, well, here's a list of some of the things he's worked with Help for the Homeless, serving on the board of PATH for many years, and before that, Casa Esperanza, an active member in Planned Parenthood, Pacific Pride, CLUE, which is Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. Anyway, Mark has been on the forefront of a lot of the good work that's going on in our community, and I'm so anxious to have him here speaking this morning. One more thing. I want to say happy birthday to Matthew, our music director, today. Happy birthday, Matthew. All right. Now I'd like you to hear just a few words from Mark.
Thank you, Ken. First of all, it's been a while since I have been here, and in my over 30 years here in Santa Barbara, I want you to know how much I am grateful for your voice and your leadership in our community. And I am honored to be the first of your Sunday speakers while Julia is on sabbatical. I know how important sabbaticals are. I had 2 in my 25 years at Trinity. Sabbaticals are a rare gift in this hard-driven working world of ours. This gift will be the gift for rest and regeneration. Those 2 sabbaticals were a large part of what helped me have a thriving ministry here in Santa Barbara. You know how blessed you are to have Julia amongst you. We, in the larger community, are blessed as well. So secretly, I say to myself and to you, I hope this sabbatical portends for a long, fruitful ministry for Julia here in Santa Barbara. It's great to be with you.
Okay, well, let's get this chalice lit, shall we? Joy is going to give us some help, and Sally, thank you. And as for the rest of you, as they're coming up, I'd like to invite you to just kind of settle into your pew at this point. If you're watching online, you might want to light a little chalice of your own at home while we're doing this. And take a deep, gentle breath. Get yourself settled as we go into our spiritual hour.
Good morning. This chalice burns with a light that each of you brings to our community. It illuminates a world that is brighter and more beautiful because you are in it. It represents the flame of hope that we can do more when we dream our dreams together. It's the bright spark of joy and the steady light of commitment that sustains us as we work to build a better world. Talk about working together, huh?
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell a story from deep inside,
All right. Today, our story for all ages is coming to us from Julie Lope. And so anybody who's feeling particularly young this morning, or any of the kids out here, please join us up on the carpet. She's got a great story about ladybugs. Good morning. Good morning. Ooh, I think we have a ladybug right here.
Hi. My spirit animal is not an animal. Most people in some different places have an animal that they just love. My mom, she loved a zebra, and we always gave her zebra things. And I don't know why, but I just love ladybugs. So I have a spirit bug. And a lot of people don't like bugs, but the ladybug is so, so good and such a good friend to people. And she's little. She's very, very little. And you can pet her, and it's very lucky she will stand on your finger. So I started collecting things, everything I could collect about ladybugs. So and this is my very, very favorite little ladybug here. When my kids come to visit me, my grandkids, I put this one on their pillow so they know that the ladybug is there. And always when they come see me, they have a ladybug. But there's another one, and it's a big one. Do you want to dig in here and find that big one there? You go ahead, put your hand in. Get that, pull it out. Yeah, that's the ladybug pillow. And so my other little grandson, he gets the ladybug pillow. But then sometimes when we have a dog, well, the dog likes ladybugs too. Can you pull out one that looks like a ladybug in there? Yeah. And you know what we do with that one? I'm going to throw it, and one of you can go get it, okay? Can you go get it? Okay, 1, 2, because we do this with the dog. 1, 2, 3. Way to go, way to go. Thank you. And we'll put all of those. Will you hold this where we put the other ones? Okay. There, okay. Now, let's see. Would you like to ask me something about ladybugs?
Yeah, what do ladybugs do?
Oh, that's why they're so special. Ladybugs go in the garden. And in the garden, sometimes there are other bugs, especially on the roses. The roses are so pretty, but these little bugs, they eat those, but the ladybugs eat up the bad bugs, so that the ladybug is the princess, and the flowers can grow beautiful. So I put some things in the garden. Is there something in there? Can you find something in there that would go in a garden? Maybe this one? Show that to the people. Show that to the people. See? And you won't show them this one. That one goes in the garden because I like to just look at ladybugs. So we'll put that one away. Put that one away here.
There was a spider web in there.
Oh, yep. Well, he's a friend of the ladybug too. Now, would one of you like to look at this one? What's this? Can you read it?
The ladybug game.
Very good. Do
The ladybug game.
Right. And who gets to play that game? How old? Joy, how old does that say? How old?
3.
Yeah. So children who are 3 years old and more get to play the ladybug game. And there's other things in here. Oh, this is a fun one. This is a fun one. Who wants to open this? You guys, you might need 2 people here. Let's see. Open it like this. Now, see if you can pull out inside. It's a little bag, and inside the bag, open up the bag. Here's a little ladybug you can play with, honey. There you go. Keep pulling it out, pull it out, help her. Help her pull it out, help him pull it out. Yeah. What's in, what happens? What happens? You know what this is? And where do I use this bag? At the grocery store. I keep this in my purse all the time so that I don't have to use up other people's bags, all those paper bags. And then when I'm through, I tuck it all back inside. That's my ladybug bag. And, oh, here's one of my favorites. What's that?
Cup.
And what's on the cup?
Ladybug.
Yeah, it's my ladybug cup so that when I want to have tea in the afternoon, I do it with my ladybug cup. What else would you like to know about ladybugs?
I'm wondering if you always dress like a ladybug, too.
I love to play dress up. Yes, I never grew up in that way, but I love to. You're dressed like a ladybug. You've got red and black. Yeah, I do dress up. I think it's just really fun to do. And one of the best things is when you have little children around, you have an excuse to do it, because otherwise they think I'm kind of silly when I dress up. So I have one more thing in here. Oh no, here. This is a magnet that goes on my refrigerator. The other nice thing is that a lot of times people have collections. They just collect things because they like them. And when you have something like a ladybug, or my mom had the zebra, some people always give you stuff. And so I have a lot of ladybug stuff. So now you have to say goodbye to this little ladybug. Oh, no, there's one more thing. But this is hard to see. Can you see the little tiny ladybug on there? Yeah? This is an antique tiny thimble. And on the thimble is an itty bitty little ladybug. So that's my story for today about my ladybug. So I hope you find one. Oh, there's a song, Ladybug, Ladybug, Fly Away Home. It's a children's story. Oh, what's the rest of it?
I forgot it.
Me too, honey. That's the story of all ages, the ladybug.
All right. Thanks, Julie.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
Okay, we have 3 readings that I'd like to read for you this morning. These are all from Mark. The first reading is from Genesis, chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness." So God created humankind in God's image. God created them, male and female. God created them. The next reading is from The Rebirthing of God by John Philip Newell. Love is the pure origin of desire, the true source of conception, the fertile beginnings of new birth. When we love, we bring the very essence of our being into the very essence of the other. The God in us adores the God in others. We are created for love. There is no other energy than love that can truly bring together what has been torn apart by fear and hatred. Love frees us from the bondage of the ego. It awakens us to the holy desire for justice. Love is pregnant with hope. Without it, there can be no rebirth. And our final reading this morning is from The Nonviolent Life by John Deere. We are all called to become who we were created to be. We are all called to become who we are created to be. The beloved sons and daughters of the God of peace. Rooted in this identity and mission, we seek to live in the conscious awareness of God's loving, nonviolent presence, and to share that disarming love with everyone. That means we continue to nurture God's peace and nonviolence within us every day for the rest of our lives. We strive to become people of peace who will act like the sons and daughters of the God of peace. We seek to let that holy peace dwell within us and radiate from us, so the world will become more peaceful, more just, and more nonviolent. So, I believe in your order of service, if you look at the announcements, you'll notice that 25% of the collections that we take every Sunday goes to a particular organization that we have deemed worthy of some financial support from us. And we do this monthly. This month, I believe it's Transition House that we've chosen. So 25% of whatever you put in the plate as it's passing around will go directly to them. So please, if you will, join me in reciting our affirmation of gratitude and giving. It's printed in your order of service as well. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. And let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
I think it's a good strategy that you pass the hat before the sermon. I'd hate to be responsible for a decline in your generosity. Building God's dream of love and justice. My sermon today comes from a boiling, bubbling cauldron of fear and anxiety just below the surface. Maybe you don't see it, but I can assure you that it's there. These are some of the key ingredients. A deep sadness for our endless wars, especially now, the Middle East. Added to that, hopelessness about our inability to find common ground for the common good. We can't even believe together on truth. And I'm especially fearful about our election this fall and what is at risk for our country and globe. Daily, sometimes hourly, I find myself sucked into my swirling cauldron. I imagine I am not alone. We may each have our own ingredients in our own cauldrons. So this morning, may we each find that place where we can stand on the shared ground of compassion, peace, and justice. As I begin, let me lay down a few key principles for my larger message of building God's dream. As I said in my preamble, while I am speaking from my Christian tradition, I believe that the peaceful and nonviolent future of the world depends in part on the respect and collaboration of our different religious traditions. But we can go deeper than that. Matthew Fox reminds us in his book, One River, Many Wells. He places before us this image of one great and generous river of divine love and wisdom, and that each of our individual and corporate wells are invited to tap into that shared river. This means that as I plumb deeply into my Christian tradition, I tap into that shared divine river, deeper than my own tradition. So may this divine river of wisdom and love bubble up in all of our religions and spiritual traditions. From my Christian perspective, let me briefly explore our Genesis reading. In the creation myth of Genesis, we hear these words, "Then God said, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness." Judaism, Christianity, and Islam share these same sacred texts, obviously from different points of view. Speaking from my own big tent of the Christian tradition, I will be speaking from that corner of the tent that sees our sacred texts and traditions as reflecting the historical, religious, cultural, and political contexts of their day, and not divine dictation. I might go as far as to say that sometimes these texts are divinely inspired, and sometimes not. But for me, these verses from Genesis are critical to how I understand God and our place in the world. Matthew Fox calls these verses in Genesis our original blessing, rejecting, like many other biblical scholars, the notion of original sin. To be made in the image of God means that we are made in the image of the divine nature. And of the many attributes of the divine, the Christian scriptures point to love as the supreme expression of the divine. Because we are all made in the image of divine love, this then changes how I see myself, and how I see the world around me. This is our original blessing. This is our eternal truth. But what does this image of love mean? Certainly not some Hollywood sentimentality. I will return to this question shortly. Many contemporary faith leaders and theologians believe we need new religious metaphors in the 21st century. Examples are Matthew Fox and his creation spirituality, John Philip Newell and his deep dive into Celtic spirituality, and John Deere, who calls us to live lives of nonviolence for the sake of ourselves, one another, and our world. And as we heard Ken read a few minutes ago, Newell puts this more full-bodied picture of divine love before us. Here are some of the key themes from Newell. When we love, we bring the essence of our being into the very essence of the other. The God in us adores God in the other. We are created for love. There is no other energy than love that can truly bring together what has been torn apart by fear and hatred. Love frees us from the bondage of the ego. It awakens us to the holy desire for justice. We are made for love. Love awakens us to the holy desire for justice. This past weekend at Trinity, my world was turned upside down, which is a good thing, by a guest preacher and teacher, John Deere. For 40 years, Deere, a Roman Catholic priest, has been advocating, preaching, teaching, and getting arrested for his commitment to peace and justice here and around the world. So Deere puts this challenge before us. The gospel of peace outlines a journey of service to the poor and oppressed, which leads to passionate work for social, economic, racial, and environmental justice, which leads to further critical reflection on where all the world's money is going, if not to the poor and needy, then to the world's militaries and their multinational corporations, which lead us to passionate advocacy for national, global, and nuclear disarmament, which leads to further reflection about how to reorganize a disarmed world based on institutionalized, nonviolent conflict resolution and global justice. Phew, I'm just exhausted. But for Deere, this is the practical and life-going challenge of love as we actively seek with others to build a more just and peaceful world. In order to do this work, Deere says, we seek to live in the conscious awareness of God's loving, nonviolent presence, and to share this disarming love with everyone. That means we continue to nurture God's peace and nonviolence within us every day for the rest of our lives. We strive to become people of peace who act like the sons and daughters of the God of peace. We seek to let that holy place dwell within us and radiate from us so that the world will become more peaceful, more just, more nonviolent. As an aside, let me put this inner work of befriending the nonviolent life in the context of the divine nature of love, compassion, and mercy. As a pastor, I have listened to many people struggling to believe that they are forgiven, let alone how to let go of shame and guilt. This divine mercy doesn't mean that there aren't consequences for our actions, but it does mean that as we acknowledge our actions, ask for forgiveness with the intention of amendment of life, then divine compassion and mercy invite us to let go of shame and guilt. Our own forgiveness shows us how to live with greater compassion and mercy for others. So returning to Dear, in addition to this inner work of befriending nonviolence, Dear suggests there are two other attributes we are called to practice simultaneously. We are called to be nonviolent to all people and creation, while simultaneously seeking to build local and global grassroots movements of nonviolence. Dear has spent much of his life studying Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi and how they lived their lives of nonviolence. If you wanted to march with King, you had to sign up for the commitment to his 10 commandments of nonviolence. The first commandment was to meditate daily on the teachings of peace and nonviolence. King believed that to walk the way of love, we need to nurture a relationship with the source of love. A vital part of Gandhi's daily spiritual practice as a Hindi was to read a portion of Jesus' core teaching on the Beatitudes. For over 40 years, every day, and often twice a day, Gandhi read and meditated on a portion of the Beatitudes so he could stay rooted to a life of nonviolence. Gandhi wrote, "I believe in the infinite possibilities of the individual to develop nonviolence. He believed the more you develop it in your own being, the more infectious it becomes till it overwhelms your surroundings and by might oversweep the world." With these practical words of wisdom, Dear reminds us that this personal journey is the work of a lifetime. That's what the spiritual life is all about. All this inner work is especially important for those involved in the public work of peace and justice. If we are not loving and affirming ourselves, we will be clueless to the peace, to the practice of nonviolent love towards others, he writes. Of course, Dear says, this is much harder than it sounds. Boy, can I attest to this. In this past week, I find myself in an endless loop of my unhelpful reactive patterns. But Gandhi, King, and Dear, our faithful guides this morning, lead us back to where we began, that inner boiling cauldron. Writing this sermon this week has helped me pull together the powerful threads of my weekend with John Dear. Dear entered my cauldron and has helped me recalibrate how I see everything, myself, and the world around me. The cauldron is still there, but now I am trying to hold the cauldron gently. And I'm trying, however imperfectly, to layer this lens of nonviolence over my spiritual practice, my relationships with others, and how I engage the world. Shortly, we are going to have a time for meditation. I am sure some of you already have a regular spiritual practice. For some of you, this might be the time to try something for yourself. These practices can be anything from yoga to reading to gardening to hiking or to any infinite number of different possibilities. There are contemplative practices that center more on quiet and silence. There are also contemplative practices for those who need to be more active, like walking the labyrinth or singing a mantra. The simple truth is this: we can bring contemplative intention to anything that seeks to open our heart, our mind, and spirit to grow in compassion and mercy. As we prepare for a few minutes of meditation, I invite you to find a position that is comfortable for you. Some of you will want to close your eyes. Others will want to keep them open. Do what's best for you. I will keep track of the time, and I promise to hold this as a safe space. Now, as we enter this time of meditation, I invite you to pay attention to what is bubbling up inside and try to hold it gently. Maybe it's a concern for someone dear to you. Maybe it's something personal to you. Maybe you came here looking for more serenity, relief from stress and anxiety. Maybe you want to hold a particular place in the world in this time of silence. And as you hold it gently, may you feel that you are being held gently by the compassion and mercy of the universe. Thank you. And now I invite you slowly to return to this space and to one another. Take a moment to just gently re-enter our connection. Thank you.
In the spirit of meditation, I ask that you remain seated while we sing our closing hymn, 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
As our light is extinguished, may we go forth into the world with these words from William Sloane Coffin. May God give us grace never to sell ourselves short, grace to risk something big for something good, and grace to remember that the world is now too dangerous for anything but truth and too small for anything but love.
Please rise as we call out a blessing. Call out a blessing, call out a blessing, call out a blessing, call